Good morning. It's Thursday, the 27th of May. I'm back in the Reading Nook on what is a bright and warm morning with a nice hot cup of tea and a box of books to delve into. So I've already delved into this box. So I've pulled out basically Mysteries of the World, the Signed Companion, and I've got next Youngman's Guide to Gelsbad for 5th edition, Scarred Land setting, and what else? Below that we have Tairomaki, again for Scion 2nd edition. So from that, essentially, you should get the idea that this is a big box of books from Onyx Path Publishing. Oh, okay. And the next thing I'm going to pull out is Dystopia Rising Revolution. Okay, role-playing game. People don't need a reason to be awful to each other. They just need to survive. But people don't need a reason to survive either. They just need each other. Tribeca Rockaway, Sniper of the Dead Heroes game. No one knows how long it's been since the world was blasted with nuclear radiation and became infested with the dead. The survivors of the fall, the first strain deviation of the human condition, were able to make it through the rapidly spreading epidemic. Finding a community of a decent size in this world is rare. Finding one that has any concept of equality or morality is rarer still. Oh, and people have the unnerving ability to come back from the dead, regrown from the very virus that destroyed the world. Some highlights of the Dystopia Rising evolution include rules for creating characters for 24 different strains, variations on humanity that survived the fall, details on the powers of faith and psionics, advice on running action-adventure stories, webs of personal intrigue and procedural investigations, and dozens of antagonists, including a variety of zombies and raiders to use in your series. Welcome to the evolution. So this is a post-apocalyptic game. Now, it's also a zombie game. Now, the thing is, in most zombie games, post-apocalyptic zombie games, the zombies are the enemy. Okay, you wake up, you have a bad day. Basically, the dead rise and attack everyone they can find still living and chow down once they capture them. Dystopia Rising Evolution is different. The player characters are the zombies. They are the ones who survived and evolved. So essentially, I've had a look at the quick start, the jump start. It's quite a nice little adventure, gets everyone involved, and essentially explains the setting a bit. There's more to go into. Essentially, it's been 4 generations since the fall of humanity. No one knows the exact number of years since the world was blasted with nuclear radiation and became infected with fungus and the undead. So the best the survivors can do is count the number of generations before them. Oral tradition and crumbling documents detail the remaining history of those first few generation survivors, and misinformation has clouded the tragic events around the original catastrophe. So this is a nice twist, or it's a nice twist or interesting twist upon the post-apocalyptic role-playing game, which is a genre which has sort of come back in vogue a bit of late. Essentially 2015 you had the release of Mutant Year Zero from Free League Publishing, and then Mutant Crawl Classics from Goodman Games, and the other one that Goodman Games brought back was Metamorphosis Alpha, and Mutant Crawl Classics goes all the way, basically it traces its lineage back to Gamma World, and Metamorphosis Alpha is the first science fiction role-playing game and first post-apocalyptic role-playing game, which the designer will then go on to design Gamma World. So basically there's a bit of history there, and essentially this is a role-playing game about the pros and cons of community and building a sense of community. And one of the features of a lot of certainly more modern post-apocalyptic role-playing games, it's about building that community. Having it as a safe haven, going out, scavenging what's out there, bringing it back, and using it to ensure the safety of the community. And that kind of goes back all the way back to again to Metamorphosis Alpha, where you are Stone Age villagers going out into this strange, sometimes smooth rock world, walking metal world, a living basically world with living metal in it, and trying to learn what's going on. And then we have the mood is the darkest before dawn. It's bleak. It's a way to showcase the worst of human nature and extrapolate where those urges will take us. Okay, but basically, Dystopia Rising is something that most post-apocalyptic fiction lacks: hope. And again, you see that as a feature of the genre as well in role-playing, because essentially people tend to be building their community and building towards a better future. You have essentially this is primarily set on the northeastern region of the United States. A little bit about other areas, and essentially this is inspired by Mad Max, Fallout, Walking Dead, The 100, Borderlands franchise, Desert Punk, Into the Badlands, and so on. And we essentially we quickly get into the setting, and essentially lots of sort of like basically in-game documents that you can read to get a full flavour of the setting. The Doomsday Book sets everything up. Then we go on to the Strains, or your brothers and sisters. These aren't real-world races; they're evolution of humanity, born out of where they sheltered and stayed during the outbreak. So we have a list of those strains there. Okay. So everyone belongs to a strain, and that's the default term used throughout the book. But some people sort of like fall inside it, out of it, and so on. Essentially that kind of falls into, there's a little bit of an element of the splat book here, essentially. Splat book format. Now, don't take, I'm not being derisive about a splat book. I mean, it's a term of it's a description of essentially what you've got of character types. So we have the devoted, the elitariat, and so on. The evolved, so you've got the elitariat again, and you can kind of map those onto other kind of settings as well. And yeah, there's lots of similarities, but these are different. You have mutants and nomads, diesel jocks, townies, and so on, and you have strain conditions, essentially persistent conditions that are triggered during certain circumstances during play. So you might be born a coward or suffer from bright lights, Captain Obvious, dead or alive, and so on. I can do it better. We've got a list of ready to play characters here. That's what the character sheet looks like. And it, basically 2-page spread, nice illustration, full stats, and plenty of description. I'm going to do that for several characters in here. Essentially, I believe these characters come from the quick start, as they look familiar. So we actually have character in a wheelchair. So it's inclusive and representative as well, of a wide range of character types. And we essentially go on to, you have rules for character generation, detailing who you are and what you are, and basically and what you do. So, and this is using the story path system, which is derived from the storyteller system. And the great thing about the story pass system is that it's got a cinematic element. So what you're doing is you're basically adding a skill and a stat together, and it can be any combination which seems appropriate. Roll the dice, you get successes. One success ensures that you succeed. More successes means you get to buy effects. So in combat that might be more damage, or in, for example, if you're trying to do a task, you might cut down on the amount of time it takes, or you might do the task just simply better. We go on to mechanics, and again, this is the story path system, and it's one that they now use for all the Onyx Path uses for most of the role-playing games. And it tends to work from across most of them. It's quick and easy. And we've basically got a discussion of 3 types of action adventure. So you're just talking about sorry, it's fairly sturdy there. So things like difficult terrain, chases, that sort of thing. So automatic is inspiration, obvious. Mad Max there. And then we're also looking at using your brain, procedurals, just chatting, intrigue. Nicely summing up the 3 types of sort of like styles of play. We get into combat, acts of violence, and dealing with other things, other dangers such as the green glow, radiation, fighting food and water. It's all there, essentially, everything you need, sort of like to run a post-apocalyptic setting. And then we get into basically beg, borrow and steal. We have a barter economy in here, designed to make it easy so that player characters can obtain things without basically doing a lot of bookkeeping. We have a basically section of what you believe. So you have religion in the wasteland. Again, that's a nice touch. You know, it's talking about a bit more than just like here it is, off you go. It's talking about society, it's like Church of Darwin, Counter the Follow Hopes, different faiths, the Final Knights. And so each of these has got a history, a philosophy, a theology, customs, and an organisation, which gives you some idea of what they're like. Even you get to the nuclear family as a cult as well. So you can actually gain more edges or advantages from faith as well, and improve your character that way. And covers brain bleed as well, psionics, and basically different psi powers, influences. So you might be able to create ghost sounds or precognitive strike, sense presence. Yeah, lots of different gifts in there, which give again further character options. And then telling stories before the game, make everyone welcome, choose your own apocalypse, gritty versus gonzo, horror versus adventure, heroic versus humble, bleak versus bright, and so on. Setting up, talking about the sort of game you want to run and play. And we have things like, you know, hard questions, hard choices, twist the blade, problem players. It's dealing with how you run the game at the table. And then threat to the waste, we have guide to making encounters, and a full list of encounters. So for example, we have a full list of degenerates and cannibal threats, because you know nothing marks a post-apocalyptic clearer than cannibals, because food's difficult to get hold of. And sometimes it's walking around on 2 legs. So lots of threats. Before we get into the nature of the wasteland, and what it's like, and essentially the rebuilding stuff, talking about rebuilding civilization, technology, and the area around where the core game is set, which is Philadelphia, obviously Philadelphia, the northeast. And that basically provides the player characters with a base if the player, if the GM wants to start there. And then it does cover the world at large. So we've got Africa, Asia, Australia. Not any great detail, just enough. Europe, Greenland, so on. And then essentially have an example. Supplement, adventure, let the dead lie. Basically, we've got 8 scenes. Basically, get everything. You've got enough there to get everyone started, and if you grab the jumpstart adventure as well, you can play that. And then you've got an appendix of the conditions and flaws list, which as well as a solid index. So that's Dystopia Evolution Rising. I'm looking forward to getting into this because it's as I said, I do like a good post-apocalyptic role-playing game. And they're always interesting to review. They always sort of like they call up something inventive, something different, usually each time. So if you've liked this review, please do click the like button down below. If you have any comments or feedback, I do take the time to read those and respond as I can. And if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxings in the Nook, please do click the subscribe button, and then you'll get to hear, be informed when I upload another video, and you get to watch me with another hot cup of tea and a book to unbox. Thanks again for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the book. Unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.